Good afternoon. My name is Lynn Blanchard, and I serve as director of the Carolina Center for Public Service, and we have the honor of hosting UNC Chapel Hill's annual Public Service Awards event. Although we've all gotten more familiar and comfortable with virtual gatherings, I want to share a couple of housekeeping details as we get started. As you know, we're using the Zoom webinar platform, and we are recording today's event. We'll make that recording available, and we'll send information on how you can access it on our website in the next several days. During this webinar, you may use the chat feature to communicate with the presenters or the full attendee list so that you can share your comments, congratulations, and connections to the awardees. We hope you'll use it liberally, and they'll have access to this at the end of the event. And hopefully you won't need to, but if you have any technical difficulties, you can email ccps@unc.edu, and we will do what we can to help you get things straightened out. We've enabled closed captioning for this event, and please be aware that the transcription may contain errors. You can toggle the feature on or off by clicking the live captions and selecting show or hide subtitles. As we gather online today, I'd like to take just a moment to consider the legacy of colonization in our technology, systems, and society. We benefit today from equipment and connectivity not available to many indigenous communities, technologies whose carbon footprints contribute to our changing climate and disproportionately affect indigenous peoples worldwide. The Carolina Center for Public Service itself is located at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, which occupies the ancestral land of the Shakori, Eno, Tuscarora, and Lumbee peoples, and remains home today to the Occaneechi Band of Saponi Nation. The university was funded in its early years from the sale of lands home to the Cherokee and Chickasaw nations. I invite you to join us in acknowledging all of the above and our shared responsibility to make good use of this time and for each of us to consider our roles in reconciliation, decolonization, and justice. Now, I'd like to officially welcome you to the 22nd Annual Public Service Awards celebration. Last year, we were in the initial months of the pandemic with a lot of uncertainty and changing of plans, some of which continues a year later. But we were really new to the virtual world, and in many ways, we did not know what to expect as we gathered last April. Well, a lot has changed in the past year. And while we've dealt with many of the challenges, we've also discovered some benefits of virtual events like this. One of those benefits is that many of you are joining us who might not otherwise be able to be with us in person, and we welcome you. We gather at a time of many difficulties and challenges in the university and the communities in our state, nation, and around the world. I encourage you to be inspired by the community engaged work exemplified by today's award recipients. You know, it's easy to get discouraged in difficult times like these, which makes it even more important that we have this time of coming together to celebrate some of the very best in public service, engagement, and engaged scholarship at Carolina. We're here to celebrate outstanding students, faculty, and staff at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill who are being honored for their commitment to public service and community engagement, and to recognize Carolina's role in working with communities to address issues of shared concern. We also want to recognize that each of you in the audience has in some way made an impact on this work. Whether you're a community partner, donor, public official, faculty or staff member, administrator, student, or friend or family of one of the awardees, the Center for Public Service acknowledges you and your support of these efforts. We want to really thank you for taking the time to join us. In particular, we're glad to have Chapel Hill Town Council members Hog Bengu and Michael Parker and Representative Verla Ensko, as well as several members of the Board of Trustees, including Chair Richard Stevens, with us today. Welcome. Now, unfortunately, Chancellor Guskowitz was unable to be here as he had planned, but he did really want to give some opening remarks and kick off these awards.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Carolina Public Service Awards. As I often say, we're the University of North Carolina, but we might be better described as the University for North Carolina. Public service is a key part of our mission and essential to who we are as a university. Everything we do here is ultimately in service to the people of our state, the nation, and the world. Every day our faculty, staff, and students serve the public across the state, but it's important to recognize those who have gone above and beyond in taking the grand challenges of our time and seeking to make the world a better place. The importance of this work has never been more evident than throughout this past year, and I'm glad we've had this opportunity to offer our appreciation to the winners of this year's Public Service Awards. Congratulations, and thank you for your dedication to our people and for living out Carolina's mission. I also want to thank Lynn Blanchard and the staff of the Carolina Center for Public Service for their work year-round to fulfill that mission. Enjoy today's ceremony, and go Heels.
We really appreciate the chancellors taking the time to record the video, but especially we want to express our appreciation for his incredibly strong support of the role of public service here at Carolina. Before recognizing our award recipients, I want to thank the team that organized this event and are currently working behind the scenes to ensure everything runs smoothly. All year long, they've put thought, effort, and energy into connecting Carolina and communities. In addition to the staff at the Carolina Center for Public Service and Gabby Pinto of University Events, we want to thank the members of this year's Public Service Awards Committee, Patricia Harris of the School of Education, Meg Langford at the Department of Health Behavior, Annalise Long, Department of Anthropology, Dylan Russell, School of Government, and Denise St. Jean, Department of Epidemiology. They had the fun but difficult task of reviewing all the nominations and helping to make the decisions that we're celebrating here today. Now let's turn to the reason we're all here, the 2021 Public Service Awards at Chapel Hill. The Robert E. Bryan Public Service Awards are the first to be presented today. These awards were established in 1999 to recognize individual students, staff, and faculty for exemplary public service efforts. The award honors alumnus Robert E. Bryan. Okay, I want you all to meet Mr. Bryan, who watches over us here at the Carolina Center for Public Service, who was a native of Newton Grove, North Carolina, and he worked his way through Carolina by selling newspapers and oranges. After his 1926 graduation, he went on to live in Goldsboro, where he continued to exemplify public service throughout his life, serving in elected, appointed, and voluntary positions at the local, county, and state levels. We're really pleased today to have his daughter and major donor to the center, Marjorie Bryan Buckley, attending today's event. This year's honorees carry on this proud tradition of the nation's first public university. The first Robert E. Bryan Public Service Award is for the student organization, and it goes to the Carolina COVID-19 Student Service Corps, housed within the Office of Interprofessional Education and Practice. The Carolina COVID-19 Student Services Corps was formed to create a centralized organizational structure at UNC to facilitate coordination across various academic and healthcare sectors to mitigate challenges created by the COVID-19 pandemic. With oversight from the Office of Interprofessional Education and Practice, CCSSC partnered with the Carolina Center for Public Service, Heal Life, the UNC administration, and the School of Medicine to identify volunteer and service learning activities across the campus to provide the necessary support during the pandemic. At the time of this nomination, more than 900 undergraduate and graduate student volunteers had led and served in roles at the asymptomatic testing centers, contact tracing, communication, data analysis, peer support, and engagement. In the first month of service alone, students served over 5,000 hours of time, helping with move-in prior to arrival testing and connecting students with services across campus. Emily Draper, the co-lead of testing, is accepting the award on behalf of the organization, while other members of the group's executive team join her. Emily and team, please join us on camera.
Thank you, Dr. Blanchard, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Emily Draper, and I'm on the Executive Student Leadership Team for the Carolina COVID-19 Student Service Corps, speaking on behalf of my entire exec team today, who is also here with us. I'd like to start by thanking the Carolina Center for Public Service and the Robert E. Bryan Award Committee for recognizing the commitment of the CSSC to working towards and constantly improving the COVID relief efforts of the university this year. I would also like to recognize my entire executive team, Kate, Monis, Moss, Emmeline, Katie, Jack, Margaret, Connor, Elaine, Libby, and Tom, who have worked so hard in each of their respective roles on our team to deserve this honor. I would also like to thank our advisors, Meg Zamarati and Amanda Gabbard, who have supported our team so wholeheartedly throughout this journey. Lastly, I want to thank our entire volunteer staff of over 1,500 active volunteers now, who have dedicated now over 20,300 hours in total this semester and have been so dedicated to keeping our community safe. I'm honored and humbled to accept the award on behalf of the CSSC. I remember when our organization came to fruition just last November. We put together an incredible executive team and promptly began discussing how we could successfully recruit a cohort of students to serve the COVID-related needs of the school. Now, our positivity rate on campus remains below 1%. Our testing centers are running more efficiently than ever. We're working tirelessly to contact trace, staffing the new vaccine clinic as greeters, putting together kits to be used for testing. And most importantly, we've created an engaged, service-oriented group of students on campus during a time when it feels difficult to remain involved or have face-to-face interaction at all. I'm optimistic about the future of UNC's COVID relief efforts through the CSSC as we approach a fall semester, hopeful about a more normal campus environment. And I'm thankful for the opportunity to serve the community with such a wonderful team by my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily and team. Congratulations on an incredible job well done over the past months. The next Robert E. Bryan Service Award is the Undergraduate Student Award, and it goes to Ricardo Crespo Regalado, a senior biology major and chemistry minor in the College of Arts and Sciences. Ricardo, would you please join us on camera? Ricardo is receiving the Robert E. Bryan Public Service Award for his exceptional work as Director of Spanish Interpreting for the Student Health Action Coalition during the unprecedented period of transition and demand brought by this pandemic. SHAC is the nation's oldest student-run free clinic, and it's evolved considerably since founding in 1967, while retaining its original mission to serve the health needs of individuals who are unable to access the healthcare system. Medical student and SHAC Bridge to Care Clinic Coordinator Emily Bulick Sullivan nominated Ricardo and had this to say: "It is not an exaggeration to say that Ricardo's work as Director of Interpreting has been essential to keeping SHAC operational since COVID-19 struck. Without his leadership and Herculean efforts to recruit, train, and organize a large team of interpreters, SHAC's sizable population of patients for whom English is not their first language would not have been able to receive care this year. As director, he is organized, prompt, professional, and innovative. Please join us in congratulating Ricardo Crespo."
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for that introduction, Ms. Blanchard. I want to take a moment to thank the Carolina Center for Public Service and the Robert E. Bryan Award Committee for this award. It's truly an honor to have been chosen, and being a BPSS scholar makes it that much more special. I also want to thank the people who made my receiving of the award possible. My nominator, Emily Bulick Sullivan, Rachel Heineck, and Alexa Holloway, who all served as clinic directors of the SHAC Clinic. For those of you who may not be as familiar, the Student Health Action Coalition, SHAC, is a student-run clinic that serves the communities of Carrboro, Chapel Hill, Durham, and other parts of the state. It is an interprofessional clinic that, in addition to providing free care to patients, provides educational opportunities for undergraduate and graduate students at UNC. I've been involved with CHAC since I was a sophomore, and I've held several positions, each one making me love the clinic more and more and deepening my understanding about the ways that we can bridge healthcare disparities for underserved communities, all while helping UNC students obtain meaningful service experiences. This past year, I served as interpreting director. The pandemic brought a lot of challenges to our clinic's operations, and I had the privilege of working side by side with the clinic directors previously mentioned to figure out ways to better serve our communities and slowly reopen the clinic. From culturally competent wellness calls, social support and resources, virtual and in-person interpreting, etc., our interpreting team made sure that our Spanish-speaking patients were well taken care of to the best of our ability. However, not only are Spanish-speaking patients, as we have also been seeing more diverse patients with other language needs. Through the amazing efforts by everybody at CHAC, we have continued to see more and more patients throughout the pandemic, and our clinic operations are returning back to normal. I'm extremely excited for an initiative that has allowed us to create an interpreter recruitment partnership with the Romance Languages Department at UNC, a partnership that will allow us to have a flowing pool of UNC student interpreters who can volunteer in our community and obtain service learning experience through an APPLES course. As far as I'm aware, the partnership has also recently been extended by our new interpreting team to include Spanish professor-led trainings for our team of interpreters, which is amazing because this will only sharpen our interpreter skills and make them more effective communicators with our Spanish-speaking populations and other populations as well. It's my goal to continue working with the clinic over the coming years as an interpreter and hopefully one day as a clinic director. Thank you all for everything.
Thank you, Ricardo. Barbara Sostita, I got it right, I hope, until very recently, a PhD candidate in the Department of Religious Studies. I say very recently because it is now, we can also congratulate her on completing her doctorate in addition to the award. Barbara receives the undergraduate award this year for her leadership of Undocu Carolina. Barbara, please join us on camera. Every year, 3,000 undocumented North Carolinians graduate from high school, and many thousands more live with at least one unauthorized family member. Thus, Carolina is home to many students, alumni, faculty, and staff whose lives are touched by undocumentation. Shortly after arriving to Carolina in 2016, Barbara partnered with the national organization United We Dream to facilitate a workshop in support of undocumented students. She subsequently built a website, Undocuments, which serves as an online resource for North Carolina's undocumented students. Then, in the fall of 2018, Barbara partnered with faculty members Angela Stussy and Todd Ochoa and received support from UNC's Humanities for the Public Good initiative to found Undocu Carolina, an initiative that works to increase visibility, support, and resources for undocumented members of the Carolina community. Barbara's nominator and collaborator, Professor Angela Stussy, had this to say: Barbara's presence on our campus has catalyzed the creation of a robust community of support for undocumented students, faculty, and staff, as well as for U.S. citizen students from mixed status families. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Sostita.
Thank you, Lynn. And thank you so much to the Carolina Center for Public Service for this award. And thank you to Ryan for dropping this beautiful certificate off at my house in Durham, alongside some delicious Tar Heel cookies. Like Lynn mentioned, I'm receiving this award as part of a team called Undocu Carolina. And this project is spearheaded by UNC staff, faculty, including my mentor, Angela Stussy, who is in the audience today, and students, to organize on behalf and alongside members of the Carolina community living with the effects of undocumentation. For those of us who have lived this experience directly, we know how this affects our lives on college campuses and our interactions with our peers and our professors and members of our community. So we began organizing in the wake of the 2016 election, and we continue our work to this day, because despite changes in administrations, undocumented and documented people are still living precarious lives. Ron Strauss, who I see is in attendance as well, has supported our work for years and been a vocal and loyal advocate of migrant students and staff. And so I want to thank him personally during this call. While I am so grateful that our work is being recognized and celebrated by UNC, I urge the administrators and board members gathered here today to invest in this program and to devote more resources and funding to this work. It cannot be up to the service of a motley crew of community members to organize alongside undocumented people. Our initiative is almost out of funding, and this work must become an institutional effort, a wider institutional effort, with all hands on board to defend and protect migrant members of our community. As I graduate UNC and leave this beloved community, I hope to see more support for this initiative and others like it. Thank you again for recognizing our work, and I hope to see this expand in the future years.
Thank you. The next Robert E. Bryan Public Service Award is for staff, and the staff award goes to Donna Jones. Donna, you want to join us on camera? Donna is recognized for her leadership of the Carolina Black Caucus and also the Chapel Hill Carrboro NAACP, and with a special focus on how she leveraged those roles in creating the NAACP Community Transformation and Civic Engagement Internship and Work Study Program. In the wake of Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd's murders, the campus community and people across the world sought out spaces in which they could make change pertaining to racial injustices. In this context, Donna brought together the Chapel Hill Carrboro NAACP, Empowerment Inc., and UNC to create a leadership experience for UNC Chapel Hill students that allows them to reimagine the boundaries between campus and community. The program allows 6 UNC students to work with local community leaders, social justice activists, and elected officials to help create and implement the strategic plan of the local NAACP in response to social justice issues and disparities in the Chapel Hill Carrboro community. Nominator Patricia Harris writes, Jones is a diversity champion whose value for equity supports the university's institutional commitment to diversity and inclusion. She is a catalyst for change and a strong advocate for implementing equitable practices and policies designed to accommodate differences in the contexts of learning and working, particularly in light of historical factors of disadvantage and marginalization. Congratulations, Donna Jones.
Thank you, Lynn, and thank you to the center and the committee for this amazing award. I appreciate the recognition and the honor. I want to specifically thank Empowerment Inc. and Dolores Bailey, who many know is a champion for social justice in the Chapel Hill and Carrboro community. And this would not be possible without her work and her guidance and the partnership that we have with Empowerment and the NAACP. I also want to thank our branch leaders in the Chapel Hill Carrboro NAACP for the tireless efforts that we are all putting in together to make sure that the Chapel Hill community is transformed and is focused on social justice. I appreciate our community on campus and within both of our towns. I want to thank the commissioners, school board members and council members from both Chapel Hill and Carrboro who have supported our students, providing them with opportunities for shadowing and intern interviews. And I just want to make sure that we all think about how we can use our values and our skills to improve our communities. So I thank you for this recognition, and I hope that it will activate others in order to continue to serve. And of course, I can't close out without acknowledging our students who are working with us in this program and looking forward to continuing to recruit more students to help us transform this community. Thank you all.
Thank you, and congratulations again, Donna. This year's Robert E. Bryan Public Service Faculty Award goes to Shannon Tufts, faculty and founding and director of the Center for Public Technology at the UNC School of Government. Shannon, you want to join us on camera? Tufts has spent the last 2 decades addressing the needs of information technology professionals working in local and state government. And I can only imagine how those needs evolved over the past year. She founded the Center for Public Technology in 2000 and works closely with a critical community partner, the North Carolina Local Government Information Systems Association, to provide collaborative educational opportunities for government IT officials with the common goal of strengthening North Carolina communities through the appropriate use of information technology. Over the past few years, Shannon helped develop a well-rounded cybersecurity initiative to assist local governments, K-12 schools, and community colleges with preparation for a cyber incident, as well as response and remediation when an event occurs, and has worked approximately 24 events since the beginning of 2020 associated with this particular initiative. Shannon represents the very best of the school and its work, said School of Government Dean Mike Smith. Congratulations, Shannon Tufts.
Thank you so much to the Carolina Center for Public Service. It's such an honor. I feel completely outclassed with all of the amazing folks that have been sharing their stories. But I will say that one of the things that has been really remarkable from the perspective of the School of Government is being able to go into communities when they're hit with a ransomware event or a cybersecurity attack and actually work directly. The folks that you see on the screen, they are members of this volunteer task force that we have. We consider it mutual aid, much like if a hurricane were to hit, we would respond to that event as well, and we go provide IT support. So when IT organizations and counties and municipalities and school systems and community colleges are having what I call the worst IT day of their lives, when they have these cyber events happen and everything is shut down, including 911, or data is being exfiltrated onto the dark web about students and really sensitive information. When that happens, we all volunteer our time and go out and work for usually about 2 weeks with those local governments. The picture of our team here is actually working an event that happened in October for one of our local governments. And it certainly it could not be said any more eloquently than to say that without the School of Government, none of this would be possible. It's something that I've spent 20 years working there, and I think I'm the biggest cheerleader for the School of Government. I love what we do. I think our mission is so critically important. I think the mission of the university and really focusing on public service is unbelievably important, and we should do as much as we can. Everything that we do in the field, we bring back into the classroom. So when we go out and we have these events, the team debriefs and we write up summaries, and then we help educate, the attorneys that are supporting the local governments or the community colleges or the school systems. We educate the managers, the elected officials, as well as the IT professionals, because the goal is ultimately to secure all of our North Carolinian information in the best possible way. And so it is absolutely a pleasure to do what I do every day. I always say there's no bad days at work when you work at the School of Government, and certainly no bad days when you're born and bred a Carolina girl, which I absolutely am. And I'm a graduate of UNC Chapel Hill undergrad. So I have a very fond place for public service. It's been part of what I think has been instilled in me ever since I started at UNC as an undergraduate. And I think it's really important that we just continue to push that mission forward and celebrate all of these amazing things that happen on our campus that impact not just our communities around campus, but the state of North Carolina, the entire country, and the entire world, because it's very clear to me that all of you that have been recognized today, as well as thousands others, are absolutely changing the world. So congratulations to all of you, and thank y'all so much for the honor.
Thank you, Shannon, and congratulations again. So let's just for a minute join me in virtually congratulating all of this year's Robert E. Bryan Public Service Award winners. Thank you. Next, we're going to be presenting the Office of the Provost Engaged Scholarship Awards. The Office of the Provost Awards were established in 2000 by Provost Dick Richardson to recognize extraordinary public service and engaged scholarship at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. These awards recognize exemplary engaged scholarship in service to the state of North Carolina. They're given for engaged teaching, engaged research, and engaged partnerships. For us, excellence in community engaged scholarship includes considerations like responsiveness to community concerns and strong, mutually beneficial community partnerships. Importantly, these awards recognize that at Carolina, public service is not something that stands alone. It is integrally connected to learning and research and issues of importance to communities. Receiving this year's Engaged Teaching Award is Anna Crome-Lukens, Teaching Associate Professor and Director of Undergraduate Studies in the Department of Public Policy. Anna's recognized for her direction of the semester-long Senior Public Policy Capstone, which enables senior public policy majors to put skills they've developed to work in partnership with nonprofit organizations and government agencies. Anna has overseen the program's doubling in size as the major has grown from 91 students in 2015-2016 to 175 students in 2020-2021. Each student team of 4 to 6 students produces a set of deliverables in response to their community partners' needs. One student shared that this class is incredibly fulfilling. I don't know that I ever have been this passionate about something policy and action-oriented in my experience at UNC. I feel so involved in making a difference. Colleague Cassandra Davis said this in her nomination. Anna has gone beyond the call of duty to serve our undergraduate students in public policy. She works each semester to ensure that our students receive the best real-world experiences and connects groups of students with regional and national organizations. Students go to her for help and see her as an advocate. Congratulations, Anna, on your exemplary engaged teaching.
Thank you, Lynn. I am so honored to receive this award and have our public policy capstone program recognized. And because everything about our capstone program is a team effort, I'd like to recognize some of the other folks in turn who deserve credit. My colleagues across campus have been very generous in sharing their advice and wisdom about similar programs, particularly Meg Landfried in public health. And my faculty and staff colleagues in UNC Public Policy and the college help make this program possible. I'm so appreciative of their support, particularly for the unstinting support of Dan Gitterman, my chair. I am lucky to work with a team of co-instructors who bring their expertise, their wisdom, and perhaps most importantly, their excitement to the program semester after semester. My team this spring includes Jeannie Bonds, Will Goldsmith, Evan Johnson, Kate Sachs, and Elizabeth Sasser. And Cassandra Davis and Jeff Summerlin Long have also been frequent members of the team recently. Our capstone program also depends on the enthusiastic participation of our amazing and very numerous public policy majors. And I want to thank them for consistently going above and beyond our expectations to do work that makes a difference for the communities around us. And above all, I'd like to acknowledge our many community partners who continue to place their faith in our students. They entrust them with work that has real meaning, and in doing so, deeply enrich the students' learning experience. So thank you to all of these people, and thank you to the Center for Public Service for recognizing this program. I am so grateful to work at an institution and with a community of educators who value this work. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations again, Anna. Courtney Woods is Assistant Professor and Director of the MPH program in the Department of Environmental Sciences and Engineering in the Gilling School of Global Public Health, and is the recipient of this year's Engaged Research Award for a number of collaborative environmental justice research projects with communities across North Carolina. Since 2017, Courtney has worked with residents of the Snow Hill community of Sampson County to understand their concerns around a massive landfill in the neighborhood and to test for PFAS in local creeks and residents' tap water. Additionally, after residents reported not having the necessary skills or materials to remove moisture and remediate mold after Hurricane Florence, Courtney worked with UNC graduate students in Robeson County Disaster Recovery Center to develop a lending library to loan tools, mold cleaning agents, and personal protective equipment at no cost. The PPE were available for very timely distribution during the COVID-19 pandemic. Most recently, Courtney's been working with leaders of the Anderson community in Castle County, who are actively working to keep an asphalt plant out of their community for fear of air, water, and noise pollution. Last summer, the Z. Smith Reynolds Foundation awarded her funds to develop the EJ Action Research Clinic at UNC. EJ ARC will offer free services to community clients and provide public health students with important opportunities for community engagement rooted in community-based participatory research principles and public health practice. Congratulations, Courtney, for your exemplary Engaged Scholarship.
Thank you, Lynn. I have a long list of folks to acknowledge and thank. Certainly first and foremost, the Carolina Center for Public Service for recognizing the importance of engaged scholarship and continuing to push the university to make that a central part of its mission. I also want to thank the residents of the Snow Hill community, including Mr. Ellis Tatum, Sherry White Williamson, and Daniel Counts, residents of the Anderson community, including Reverend Bryan Schaffner, Anita Faust, and Bill Compton, and staff at the RCDRC in Robeson County, including Cassandra Campbell, for sharing their time, their stories, their patience, and really opening their doors to me and the students with whom we've worked. I also want to thank the North Carolina Environmental Justice Network and Naima Muhammad specifically for accepting me into the NCEJN family for the past decade. I continue to be inspired by NCEJN's commitment to standing with communities and to fight for their protection and health. I'd be remiss if I didn't also acknowledge the important mentorship that I received from the late Dr. Steve Wing, who's a faculty member in the epidemiology department at UNC. His guidance and orientation really set me on a path towards community-driven research. Lastly, I want to thank the many students, colleagues, my dean and chair in the Gillings School of Global Public Health, who I've had the privilege to work with. Their dedication to an anti-racism praxis in public health also has been really inspiring, and their push for change within the school has been very inspiring. I'm excited thrilled that the Environmental Justice Action Research Clinic will serve as a really important place for our public health students to be trained on community-based participatory research methods while also learning the importance of community organizing for public health and social justice. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations again, Courtney. This year, the Office of the Provost is giving 2 awards for engaged partnership, which seems only fair because that partnerships are so at the core of all of this work. The first Office of the Provost Award for Engaged Partnership goes to Ryan Lavallee, postdoctoral research associate in the Division of Occupational Science and Occupational Therapy, and Morgan Cooper, a graduate student pursuing an MPH in Health Behavior and an MCRP in Economic Development. That's Masters in Community and Regional Planning, for their joint work with the Orange County Partnerships for Home Preservation and Aging in Community. Both Ryan and Morgan will join us to accept the award. Ryan and Morgan, would you join us on camera? I just want to say, and I don't know how many people know this, only a few, but I'm going to disclose it now. In the true spirit of partnerships, it so happens that Ryan and Morgan unknowingly each nominated the other. We're happy to honor them both. Through innovative partnerships among UNC's Division of Occupational Science and Occupational Therapy, UNC's Partnerships in Aging program, the Orange County Department on Aging, and the Marion Cheek Jackson Center, Ryan and Morgan have been able to bolster and develop a network of services, supports, and coordinated efforts among Orange County community organizations. Their efforts support home preservation and repair and aging in community. They explained, Ryan was one nominator explained, Ryan was backbone support for the Home Preservation Coalition's success. Through his position at University Partnerships in Aging, Dr. Lavalle also supports robust community university partnerships with the Marion G. Jackson Center, providing leadership to signature programs, which create opportunities for students and neighbors to explore issues related to aging, housing, and racial equity. And of Morgan. Morgan's deep sense of community and justice emanates through all of her work, but her commitment to learning and listening amplifies this tenfold. Please join me in congratulating Ryan and Morgan.
Thank you all so much. I am honored to receive this award alongside Morgan and thank her so much for all of her hard work in this project. I also want to thank Janice Tyler, Dr. Dancy Bagatelle, Dr. Sherry Roseman, and especially Dr. Jenny Womack for all the mentorship over the years. Thank you to Dan Sargent, Erica Brown, and George Barrett for your partnership throughout this whole process over the years. I also want to thank my spouse, Ben Hershey, for his always listening ear. But I also want to say that our work in home preservation has, for me, reverberated the need for our local communities, governments, and university to continue to reckon with our historic and ongoing systemic racism that creates disparities in gentrification, studentification, affordable and quality housing, property tax burdens, aging experiences, and violence for communities of color, especially local Black communities. I have learned that we must be willing to ask hard questions, deeply critique ourselves, our institutions, and our history, and then and only then can we step forward building our relationships and work in partnership and abundance. So thank you so much for honoring this work here today, but to fully honor this collaborative work of all of our partners, we as a university and as a local community must continue to dig into and deconstruct systems of racism that have created disparities in housing and aging that often necessitate this work in the first place. So there's still a lot of work to be done, and I hope you all will join us in it. Thank you again so much for this honor and to the Center for continuing to support this type of work in North Carolina. And I'll pass it now to my good friend and partner, Morgan.
Ryan, thank you for lifting up the need and value of the partnerships, not only embedded in the Home Preservation Coalition, but in all of your other partner-based work with regards to racial disparities in housing, affordability and displacement, aging, and health. I will first take a moment of personal privilege to, like Ryan, thank Erica Brown and Dan Sargent for inviting me into your partnership in the coalition and trusting me to tell the story of the coalition and its innovative collaboration. The Home Preservation Coalition is truly a partnership of abundance and cooperation drawn from the Jackson Center and the Partnerships in Aging Programs models. And finally, I wholeheartedly appreciate Drs. Ryan Lavalle and Sherry Rosemond for both of your mentorship through PIAP over the past 2 years. Working as an intern with PIAP has been the absolute capstone to my graduate school experience, and it's demonstrated to me that institutional collaboration based on strengths and creativity can be really powerful tools for enhancing broad social equity, and in this case, improving housing conditions and health for historically harmed and continually vulnerable populations in our Orange County community. I, like Ryan said, look forward to seeing our university, municipal governments, and local organizations sustain, strengthen, and expand this model partnership, and echo his call that we challenge ourselves personally and institutionally to deconstruct these systems of racism and oppression in favor of building collective abundance. So thank you again, and it's an honor to be here.
Congratulations to you both. The second Office of the Provost Award for Engaged Partnership goes to Carla Slocum, Director of the Institute of African American Research, and Thomas Willis Lambeth, Distinguished Chair in Public Policy. And I believe Carla has a new title very recently to add to her repertoire. We heard something, I think, today about your being on a Dean for Diversity and Inclusion in the College of Arts and Sciences. And Mark Little, Executive Director of CREATE at the Keenan Institute of Private Enterprise, for their work in co-chairing Black Communities, a conference for collaboration. Carla and Mark will both join us to accept the award. We want to join us on camera. Black Communities, a Conference for Collaboration, is an annual international convening of scholars and leaders across the African diaspora. The conference provides attendees who number up to 600 to 700 each year an opportunity to share and exchange their specific knowledge about aspects of Black community life, health, social justice, education, arts, history, economies, as well as learn from each other's expertise. Through workshops and collaborative sessions, it also allows conference attendees to connect with one another and explore possible partnerships on projects or initiatives that support Black communities' capacity to thrive. Please join me in congratulating Carla and Mark on this award.
Thank you, Lynn. I would like to thank the Carolina Center for Public Service for the honor of this award and for an event and program that is really so dear to me. The Black Communities Conference, yes, it began in 2018, 3 years ago, as a way to connect universities and communities in productive collaborations with an ultimate goal of supporting, as Lynn said, Black communities' capacity to thrive. And partnership is actually at the heart of how we reach this goal. First, there's the partnership between the Institute of African American Research and centers within the Kenan Institute of Private Enterprise to pull together these events in which collaborations for Black community support can actually happen. And then we partner with a number of other UNC units and North Carolina organizations to craft and conceptualize these events. And among these partners, or those partners, have been the Center for the Study of American South, the UNC Libraries, North Carolina Central University, the Hayti Heritage Center, and really too many others to name here today. And then all of our collective efforts result in the events, the virtual and in-person conferences and webinars that bring together community leaders, academic researchers, artists, activists, preservationists, and more who meet, discuss, share knowledge, and consider ways to partner on efforts that facilitate an elevation of and respect for Black community life. My personal tagline for our events is that they are a conference like no other. Black community events are vibrant and dynamic, and it's really rewarding to see so many people energized to connect in their mutual interest and investment in supporting Black communities around the globe. And so I actually want to dedicate the award to all of those people who show up in the spirit of collaboration for Black Communities Conference events, because they are the ones who make the events a success. And they are the ones who motivate us to keep going. We owe thanks to so many. I'm especially grateful to my own rock star staff at the Institute of African American Research, who pull off so much, often with so little, to make the conference happen. And they include Amatullah King, who was a 2-year planning committee co-chair, Benita Ramsey, who also was involved in planning and what I consider to be the Zoom registration wizard for us, Rachel Ear, who has provided administrative support, Kiara Childs, Blake Robinson, and Evan Lewis for social media, and Shrisha Rematier for coordination of student participation. As I said, there's so many to thank, and I'm going to turn it over now to Mark Little, who will say some words to acknowledge more who have comprised our team.
Yeah, I also just want to start by saying thank you to the selection committee for recognizing the conference. Since the first conference in 2018, we have many to thank, as Carla mentioned, 2,000 attendees, 20 sponsors, 100 advisory board planning committee members, 20 proposal reviewers, 100 student volunteers, 30 vendors and partners in Durham, North Carolina, and at least 40 UNC, North Carolina Central, and Hayti Heritage Center staff, including the entire external communications team of the Kenan Institute of Private Enterprise. I also need to recognize Bill Ferris and Everett Fly, who organized the 2015 workshop for the mayors of 8 historic Black towns that served as the spark for Black Communities Conference. In addition to those critical team members mentioned by Carla, the following individuals made extraordinary contributions as well. Samantha Locke poured herself into every aspect of the logistics of the 2018 conference when we had no model to follow. Jack Walker and Torrance Todd are responsible for the amazing look and feel of our website, printed programs, venue signage, and logo, as well as creating bespoke proposal submission and scholarship application platforms. Miriam Johnson served as North Carolina Central's representative to our planning committee, unofficial herald, and official content creator. And Cara Stiff co-chaired the planning committee, contributing her ideas, fastidiousness, and passion to make the conference more impactful year over year. I also want to acknowledge the conference presenters. We have more than 400 leaders in Black communities and academics from across North Carolina, from Asheville to Leland, from across North America, from Los Angeles to Tuskegee, to Halifax, Canada, Guerrero, Mexico, from across the Caribbean, from Haiti to Trinidad, across South America, from Venezuela to Colombia to Brazil, from across Europe, UK and Germany, and from across Africa, from Kenya to Nigeria to Cote d'Ivoire. There are vanishingly few reasons why any of these folks would want to engage with an old Southern PWI, but they all did. They know the grand potential that still simmers in Black peoples of the African diaspora, and they understand how just the right collaboration can catalyze radical change. Lastly, I want to thank Carla for saying yes, 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 and yes. That's 4 times, I think, and for being committed to our partnership, for being a champion for IAAR, Black Scholars, and Black Scholarship.
Thank you both, and congratulations again. To close out this presentation of the Office of the Provost Engaged Scholarship Awards, it's only appropriate that Bob Bluen join us, who's with us on the call to share a few words. Provost Bluen, we invite you.
Thank you, Lynn. It's an honor to join the Carolina Center for Public Service team, our honored guests, and especially this year's Public Service Award recipients. We acknowledge and celebrate your contributions and service to this university and to our community. I'm particularly proud to recognize the contributions of this year's Office of the Provost Engaged Scholarship Award recipients. This award was established in 2000, and every year I'm impressed by the tremendous work being done on this campus in community engaged scholarship. This year is no exception. It's extremely fitting and important that we gather and celebrate your public service through your teaching, your research, and your engaged partnerships, especially as we continue to endure the worst global health crisis in our lifetime. Despite these hurdles, our award recipients have demonstrated in extraordinary ways that public service through scholarly engagement are integrally connected to all aspects of the university's strategic plan, Carolina Next, Innovations for Public Good. Strategic Initiative 6 is Serving to Benefit Society. UNC Chapel Hill embraces with pride our status as the nation's first public university and our call to public service to the people of North Carolina and to the region, the nation, and the world. Our 3-part mission of teaching, research, service makes clear that this university is a center for service. Our mission statement calls on all of us to extend our knowledge-based services and other resources of the university to the citizens of North Carolina and their institutions to enhance the quality of life for all people in the state. The guiding principles for Carolina Next, of the public, for the public, and Innovations Made Fundamental also express our commitment to our citizens and our communities at home and beyond. Our award recipients embody this service, and again, it's my honor to celebrate your accomplishments today. Thank you for all that you do to serve to benefit society. Congratulations.
Thank you, Bob, and congratulations again to all the Office of the Provost Engaged Scholarship Award winners. Now on to the Ned Brooks Award, which is the 17th annual Ned Brooks Award for Public Service. The award honors the contributions and values of Ned Brooks, who served the university for more than 30 years. In 2001, several hundred of Ned's closest friends and colleagues came together to create an endowment to provide an annual award for the individual who exemplifies Ned's leadership style through public service. Since then, others have continued to contribute to honor Ned through contributions. Ned and his wife, Jenny, are joining us today, and we want to welcome them to the event. This year's recipient of the Ned Brooks Award for Public Service is Anita Brown Graham, Gladys Hall Coates Distinguished Professor of Public Law and Government and Director of NC Impact Initiative at the UNC School of Government. She's receiving this award for a distinguished and sustained record of service to Carolina and the larger community. Anita's history with UNC Chapel Hill reveals a deep dedication to service through her varied roles as student, professor, alumna, and director. In her role as director of the NC Impact Initiative, Anita has spent the last 5 years leading the effort to expand the school's capacity to work around the state. She works diligently with her colleagues to devise programs to support communities across the state, tackling complex public policy issues, including economic mobility, homelessness, workforce preparedness, the opioid crisis, expansion of education, and more. Recently, a new initiative was announced that builds on these outstanding efforts. Anita will be leading Carolina Across 100, a chancellor's initiative that engages with the people of our state for the common good. I want to speak personally to more than the public face of her leadership, which includes her weekly PBS North Carolina show, by sharing her willingness to share her experience and wisdom with others. Just last month, within 1 week, she spoke to both my Rotary Club and a class I teach. As part of her nomination, Dean Michael Smith of the School of Government wrote, "Anita is the personification of a high-impact faculty member. She has created NC Impact, an entrepreneurial initiative that helps local leaders and communities gain access to data, high-quality research, and rigorous analysis as they try to find solutions to challenging problems. Anita helped us gain traction with applied public policy, a long-standing strategic priority for the school. She's also created a television program that has been a remarkable success. Anita is a master convener, facilitator, and interviewer. She is a leader within the university and across North Carolina." In a note to Anita upon learning she was receiving the award, Ned sent along these words: "All kinds of congratulations to you on this award. I'm delighted. Lots of absolutely wonderful people have won the award over the years, and your receiving it elevates it even more. We congratulate Anita Brown Graham on receiving the 2021 Ned Brooks Award for Public Service."
Thank you, Lynn. If there's anything that's been clear from this last hour, and it has been quite a remarkable hour, it is that public service is a team sport. We've seen this reflected in every response to every award that has been given this afternoon. And quite frankly, that idea of a team sport is embedded in my story too. My story is a big one. It extends across this campus and beyond. And I won't try to name all of the players, but I do want to lift up just a few categories, if you will indulge me. First, I want to lift up those special team members, people such as Lynn Blanchard, who push you forward all the time with really simple, innocuous questions, such as, have you ever thought about? Second, as my colleague Shannon Tufts has said, it is an honor of a lifetime, really, to serve on the staff and faculty of the School of Government. And it's hard to explain what being in a building, even if it's a virtual one these days, with people who are so mission-driven does for your own sense of what is possible. But I particularly want to lift up two people at the school. Sonia Matanovic, who wrote the nomination, and quite frankly, I'm particularly excited because there's so many times when I think if I ask her for one more thing, she will not like me anymore, and yet she just keeps on giving. And then I want to honor our Dean, Mike Smith, who is a mentor for me and whose special brand of leadership causes all of us in the school to feel as though we can take risks. And certainly launching NC Impact Initiative was a risk. I'm so glad Mike said yes to this, because I have the opportunity to wake up every morning knowing that I am going to work with a tiny but mighty team of people who over-deliver beyond their weight class every single day. I'm impressed by my colleagues. I also really love working with them. And I want to lift up as one person today, Barbara Steele, who supported my nomination. And when I saw the note she wrote, it almost made me cry, just almost, Barbara. Then I want to finally say thank you to all of the people in all of the communities who trust all of us enough to call us partners. It is not something to take lightly. I certainly don't. And none of us could be here talking about the work that we do if we did not have these critical community partners co-creating with us day in and day out. We are here and we do what we do because of them. As I close, I just want to share one quick thought. I got off a Zoom call, as I'm sure everybody here did, to rush on to this one. And I was explaining to my colleagues in an interdisciplinary project that we have that I was getting an award, and someone said, "What kind of award?" And I said, "Oh, it's the Ned Brooks Public Service Award." And she started squealing. And she said, "Oh my gosh, Ned Brooks, he was on my dissertation committee. I love him, he's a rock star." And I thought to myself, as I often think to myself, there is no place quite like the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Public service is so embedded in our DNA that we know each day, each year, what we do is pass it forward. I'm honored to be a recipient and to stand on the shoulders of people who passed it forward for me. And Lynn, I'll come talk to your class anytime because I want to do nothing more than pass it forward for others. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. Very fitting words as we end our time together. As you can see, these award recipients continue Carolina's rich tradition in service and engagement. The individuals and efforts we recognize today, along with many others across campus and throughout communities, are wonderful examples of Carolina's roots in being of the public and for the public. It's important to note, as almost everyone did, that these accomplishments are shared with others. Collaboration is a key element, and we regret we can't provide an award and cookies to everyone involved with all these outstanding projects. But those who do receive the awards are so well deserving. Their commitment, determination, and hard work makes that very clear. I hope these examples of excellence, which we celebrate today, will continue serving to inspire us all. May we keep working to make the world a more empathetic and community-oriented and just place. Thank you for being with us today and for all you do to serve others. Congratulations once again to all the individuals and organizations honored today. See you next year.